And I do keep the grand scheme in mind and try to weigh in circumstantial facts rather than just attacking someone ad hominem on its face just because I'm a little pissed off at the time. And I am indeed pissed off, make no mistake about it. Now, I also want to admit from the rip that I am a little biased in this perspective. Although I am going to give an objective analysis, I want to be very clear that I am rooting for Ocasio-Cortez, not necessarily because I like her as a person, but more so because the progressive movement can't afford to take any heavy blows like I feel we have been as of late. With Andrew Gillum reneging on his Medicare for All plan and pretty much throwing every progressive policy that he had advocated for, the reasons that Bernie Sanders came out and endorsed him, he threw them all into the wind. That's just one example in a long list of recent examples of the progressive movement taking a hit every time someone gets elevated into a position, and they got us to back them on the way up. Now, I've always had my reservations about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but I want to be very clear about something. If some of you have noticed, I used the picture or a picture from a scene with her marketing campaign, the campaign that made her famous, like really famous. I believe to date that ad has been watched over like 20 million times. It's something insane. And it's a fantastic marketing ad, I must admit. And she said some profound truths in that marketing ad. And I believe that she does stand by those truths. I really do. I believe that overall, she is a fantastic human being, first and foremost. And I do believe that she is a progressive. I do believe that she has the good of the people at heart, because as far as her policy advocation, she has not made one wrong step, and which is fantastic, because as of late, that is not something we could say for Bernie Sanders and Andrew Gillum. We can't really say it about anybody else except for Tulsi Gabbard right now. So policy-wise, she's been on point. But I use that picture hoping that she will see this, and I really hope you all share this, because I wanted to remind her of the line that went the most viral. That line is, "Not all Democrats are the same." Now, for many people watching that video who may be new to politics, that may be new news. However, for us, the ones who have skin in the game, blood, sweat, tears, money, and time, we know that to be true already. However, politicians who've actually had a chance to make legitimate change going forward have never been bold enough to admit this on a national platform, and then have never also been bold enough to hold their colleagues accountable at the same time and challenge them to debates saying, no, you are wrong. You are not with the people. You are not with us. And whatever decisions that I make going forward in politics will be to the benefit of the people, with the people behind me. Nothing less will be sufficient enough. Not all Democrats are the same, is what you said in your most viral video. And that's why it comes much to my dismay, and I'm sure hundreds of thousands of people across the country, when you say that you look forward to backing, quote unquote, all Democrats, including Andrew Cuomo. I want you all to understand something about Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo insulted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the moment she won, essentially calling her victory a one-off, saying it was a fluke, literally. Andrew Cuomo was endorsed by Nancy Pelosi. Andrew Cuomo was endorsed by Dianne Feinstein. Andrew Cuomo was given the kiss of death, also being endorsed by none other than Hillary Clinton. All people who either insulted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign directly, or endorsed Crowley directly. Obviously, making their positions well known on where they stand. Now, I believe there is logic behind it, and I'm going to explain in a second. But the logic behind it is only marginally important to me, because I know it is only marginally important to many of us. And I am a progressive pragmatist. I am objective in my approach. I never just attack anybody. Even when it comes to Bernie Sanders did not have a spotless record when it came to the military-industrial complex in the early 2000s. Why? Because none of us had a spotless record, at least in our advocacy of what we thought was right and what was wrong. 90% of the country was calling for Muammar Gaddafi's death because we had no idea what our country was responsible for. So understanding that, I'm not going to hold what Bernie Sanders did back then as much as I will hold him accountable for what he's doing right now. So I am an objective pragmatist when it comes to the progressive movement. But understand something, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you have a mandate, or at least you had one. I can't speak for that right now. But you had a mandate that was so much more important than your vote. Because your ability to call out people who are not voting in favor of the progressive policies that you are advocating for would demise any opportunity for them to progress in their career in a substantive way going forward. In a very similar way that when Cory Booker voted against the pharmaceutical bill that Bernie Sanders introduced because of Bernie Sanders' mandate with the progressive movement, it destroyed his chances of going towards the presidency. He has no chance now. Cory Booker's done. There's no victory for Cory Booker. He will always be attached to, you literally voted so that people would die if they can't afford to live. That's what you voted for. And you turn around and with that mandate, you irresponsibly tell people to back all Democrats, even though you are the very person that told us that not all Democrats are the same. That was you who spoke this profound truth that, like I said, everybody didn't know this until you came onto the scene. As crazy as it sounds to some people, to us that have been watching, that we're in the mix. But not everybody knew. And you changed the conversation with that line. And the person who said that the progressive wave wasn't even a ripple, right after he won, illegitimately so. The people that you've worked with, that you've talked to, your colleagues, your progressive colleagues in the Democratic Party, were telling you they weren't even allowed to vote, that they were removed from the voter rolls. So in an illegitimate election, instead of calling for election justice, you endorsed the person who benefited from the criminality of that New York Democratic primary. And that's not okay. See, because when you do things like this, it's hard for us to believe that so you have a voice, and your voice is powerful. You're extremely intelligent. You're easy on the eyes, which helps when you're in Congress, which is why they got Obama to run. That's why JFK was so successful. Let's be honest, strategically. This is the facts. Tulsi Gabbard is going to have a fantastic run. I guarantee that. That's a different conversation for a different day. Don't get me off my topic, right? Hey, Tulsi. Hi. Anyway, so But when you get to Congress and you are claiming to be representative of our interests, and you're saying, I'm going to advocate for Medicare for all, it doesn't matter what your advocacy is if you do not have the conviction and the willpower to stand up to the establishment that challenges you every single day in that party and tell them, I don't give a damn what you want. I answer to the people, no one else. Because you are in a district that is so unique that once you're in, you do the right thing, you're never out. You are not out until you decide to leave that office, until you decide to run for Senate, until you decide to run for president, whatever. So you've put myself, Tim Black, Jimmy Dore, the independent journalists of the world, the independent writers of the world, the people who believed in you, the people who advocated for you, the people who defended you against the Republicans, the people who defended you against the neoliberals, the people who even defended you against the progressives who are literally inventing things out of thin air about you, by the way. That was really weird. Progressives, stop doing that. Attack people on their merit, nothing more, nothing less. Stop inventing things. Do some research. Like, there are people trying to say that she was rich. Myself, Tim Black, and others did videos like, you're out of your minds. Her brother already addressed this, because the truth matters more than anything else. And the truth is, you were right. Not all Democrats are the same. So why are you then going to do what we literally railed into Ro Khanna for doing to you? Which is, he's a Justice Democrat. You're a Justice Democrat. What does he do? Endorses Joe Crowley over you, pretends like he didn't know that you were running, even though you're a Justice Democrat, and I know, and you know, I'm not going to say how we know, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez reached out to him for an endorsement. He told her flat out no, and then lied the next day that he didn't know she was running. So you know how that feels to have someone who is supposedly an ally capitulate to the will of the establishment, and yet you do that. Now, some people would probably ask why instead of just going into attack mode. Because, like I said, the merits of someone past they're extremely important when you're trying to render analysis on something like this and trying to understand where the logic is, because she's been pretty damn good at telling the world, I'm not endorsing anybody until, first of all, we figure out who's on our team as progressives. I'm starting a progressive caucus. She's campaigned and advocated for the Green Party and green policies. Her campaign manager is a former Green Party campaign manager and Green Party member. Like, she is part of the progressive movement. She always has been part of the progressive movement. But there's a problem when you've always been a part of the progressive movement. Because when, like the Working Families Party, for example, reneged the endorsement of Joe Crowley, he refused to be taken off the ballot, which means that Joe Crowley is still in an active run against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And we know for a fact that the Republicans on the establishment side and the Democrats on the establishment side have absolutely no problem with working together to take out their progressive competitors. We know this to be true. So strategically, she is in a predicament where, remember, what do I always tell people? The Green Party will never be able to win a national level election in any type of substantive way, or at least more than one key race, until they learn how to start advocating for infrastructure changes before they start running candidates that have no chance of winning. I'm not saying it's not because they're not worthy candidates. It's because the system is created to make them fail. Like, that's why. They're not meant to succeed. But Ocasio has not won the election yet. And Crowley, they know now that this is going to be a low turnout election based off of the previous race. Have you ever heard of interstate voter cross-check, which disproportionately affects minorities and takes them off the voter rolls? They just purge voters right now. Like, we just saw New York purge voters, and we saw people drop off the rolls. Kathleen Cohn, I will say this. If you think Ocasio's rise to power was too easy, you have not been paying attention. I know one of the first people that Ocasio was interviewed by. It is a kid named Michelangelo Hamilton out of Florida. Doesn't have too much of a following. Good kid, just went to college. And she was scraping and scrounging from the bottom of the barrel to get a 1/1000th of the attention that she has right now. So no, that is not true. And that is the myths that I don't like. If we're going to attack somebody on their merits, then let's do so. If we're going to hold somebody accountable because of something they did, let's do so. But let's not make up things to confirm our biases or to confirm our nihilist mindset. What I would like to see going forward, for her to correct this, and I do want to make it very clear that I have reached out to the campaign directly. They have not responded to me. Actually, let me check before I lie on camera. I won't be a lie on camera. Nope. Okay, so they haven't responded to me yet. I am hoping that they will sooner rather than later. And I told them how I felt, and I told them how you all felt. And the relationship that I have with them is amicable. It's good. And so whenever I tell them this, they won't think it's anybody attacking her. They'll understand that it is a matter of, this is about the progressive movement now. This isn't about your campaign. This is about the morale of the progressive movement and the belief or lack thereof that you actually have the conviction to get things done once you finally do. What the hell just happened to my stream? What the? Hold on. What is going on with my stream? Give me a second, people. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on my stream right now. So I'm gonna probably end it there. But keep a lookout. We will see what happens going forward, and I will keep you updated as I am updated. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.